made on Ridgeway Sports Podcast, episode 77. Hunter Keister back with.
Hey Mac, let's go.
We are back, made on Ridgeway Sports Podcast, another week in sports, and we are well into the conference finals in both the NBA as well as the NHL, so we will get caught up there in the few days since our last podcast, and we will also finish up reacting to this back half of the NFL Draft from, when was that? Early May?
April 29th.
Late April, that's what it was.
Yeah, late April.
The late April. Alright, so we will get it started. And let's start out in the NBA, shall we? Let's go Saturday, May 20th. LA Lakers, Denver Nuggets, Western Finals Game 3.
Yeah, you know what? This was
a big game for Murray. I feel like this was like his tipping point in the series.
I want to say this was the game that Murray scored 30 in the first half. The Lakers, again, I think they had they didn't have the halftime lead, but this was their game one at home to at least get a game in. You're only down 2-0. And there was moments they could have closed out, but unfortunately they couldn't. They lose the final score 119 for Denver, 108 for LA, and honestly, this kind of just, for me, as soon as they lost this game, I kind of knew this series was over, to be honest with you. Nuggets were led by Jamal Murray, as we just mentioned. Jokic at 24.
Only 6 boards, though, was kind of crazy for Jokic. Kind of an off game, 9 of 19 from the floor.
At the same time, though, when you're making a lot of shots, you can't really get rebounds.
Fair.
They shot 50% from the field.
I guess nobody really got boards. I mean,
41% from 3. Honestly, that's pretty good.
Right.
It's pretty good. The Lakers were led by AD with 28, 18 boards. Reeves with 23 is pretty good. LeBron with 23 and 12. It's unfortunate, but I think it's just one of those things where Denver's just the better team.
Yeah, you can just kind of tell where Denver just, quite frankly, outmatches and outclasses the LA Lakers and just the talent level. You can just see the discrepancy. I mean, LA hats off to them for making it there. You know, it really shows LeBron's greatness. You know, this team isn't a bad team, but when you really stack it up piece for piece against a team like the Denver Nuggets, I don't think a 4-0 sweep was that shocking. You know, you definitely don't think LeBron James is ever going to get swept out of the playoffs. And I certainly thought he would at least get a game. But after this loss, it was just like writing on the wall for sure. What more could you really do?
Yeah, it wasn't like, see, with all the games in this particular series, they were all winnable for the Lakers. They didn't close them out. They had leads. They had 9-point leads late into the game, and they just couldn't finish them.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. LA. That speaks to LA's. Them having it close. That's what I wanted. That's what I was.
Yeah, they were all. It's not like they just got kicked around.
3 games. They were in the games. All 3 of them. I feel like you're late in the game and you're saying LA's got a chance to win in all of these games. It's not like they're getting whacked.
No, it was never like that with any of these games. If anything, it just speaks to the resiliency of this. The Nuggets just, they were down at points and they just came back and.
Yeah, they are a true team basketball.
It honestly just showed why they were the 1 seed, and honestly, me included, I think we all just slept on them.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
I definitely, I let the LeBron, he'll make this a series. When you look at these teams and you stack them up, I think anybody in their right mind looks at this series and says Denver in 5, but it's just LeBron James kind of Kool-Aid we're drinking. That's like, he'll make this a series. He won't go down without a fight. When really, that Lakers team had no chance against the Nuggets. And they fought really well, but like you said, in spots, Denver was down and they just kind of really banded to get together and played real good team basketball on offense and defense. And, they made they got the final blows when they needed them.
Yeah.
And 119, 108 really took the wind out of their sails.
Yeah, that really, I think, was the knockout punch.
Right.
Because you had to win that one at home.
Yep.
Now you're talking you could potentially tie it up in Game 4, but losing that one hurts, especially after, like we said, you could have gotten one on the road, even with one of those first 2 games.
Right.
But let's jump to the next game, which was Sunday, May 21st. Miami over Boston, 128-102. Wow, this one was not even close.
Right. Miami ran them off the floor here. Miami's crowd was electric. The Heat themselves played a really good game. Shot very, very well in this
Led by
game.
Vincent.
56% from the field, 54% from three. When you're shooting like that, you're going to win basketball games.
Absolutely.
And on their home floor, the Heat didn't disappoint in this one, that's for sure.
Nope.
128 points. They played really, really well defensively. Tatum with a terrible shooting night.
You got 6 players with double-digit plus points.
Right. Then you're playing defense. You got 6 of 17 from Brown, 6 of 18 from Tatum. That's the recipe to win a basketball game right there. When you're shooting as well as they did.
Yep. When you're shooting that good and the other team's 2 biggest stars are just honestly just coming up small.
Yeah. Really, 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 really bad. That is a putrid performance.
So many
in
turnovers. 15 turnovers. That'll do it too.
Conference finals, and this is what you're pulling out?
And it's crazy because the Celtics completely out-rebounded the Miami Heat. 57 boards to 35. 21 offensive boards, second chances, but just not doing anything with them. And kind of just similar to how the league is now. Live by the 3, die by the 3. The Celtics did not shoot good from 3.
26%. 11 of 42. They shot 39%, shooting 39 of 98.
That's pretty awful.
Recipe for disaster. And I think leaving this game, I think we all figured, especially going into these game 4s, as we are obviously in the future a little bit, I thought, if anything, LA makes it a series, Boston gets swept.
Yeah.
But as we move on to the next batch of games, we will see that is not the case, as the Lakers do everything they can to stay alive. But the Nuggets are just, once again, just a little bit better. Just got that much better of a team. Jokic, after his poor game 3, played all right, I would say, in Jokic standards. He comes out and dominates game 4. 30 points, 14 boards, 13 assists. Broke Wilt Chamberlain's triple-double record.
Yeah.
Of in the playoffs of 7 that he had his 8th. That's just unheard of.
It really is. The Lakers with a first half lead. You got 2 quarters of scoring 30 plus, and then the second half.
Oh, that third quarter I forgot about.
That third quarter was just abysmal.
I remember watching that live and really thinking the Lakers really just blew this with this third quarter, because Denver comes out hot going into the fourth, and you can just kind of see the tide start to shift. Yep. And you just, come on, LA, you can't have that at home, man. You can't have a third quarter like that.
You get outscored by 20.
In an elimination game? Shoot.
Do or die?
Right.
I'm going to say it here first. LeBron played that first half, I think was his most points scored ever for him in a postseason game. I think it was like 30.
Wow.
In the first half, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, LeBron really did his thing. Left it all on the floor. Gave it all he's got. 40 points. What more can you really ask? 15 to 25. It's not even like he really chucked up a whole bunch of shots.
He shot great from 3.
Yeah.
He made, I think, 4 in the first quarter, or 3 at least.
Yeah, he had 4 of 7 from 3. 10 boards, 9 assists, 2 steals. That's a great game from LeBron. But really, Davis plays all right. 21 points, 6 of 15. 14 boards, but other than that,
didn't really
that's
do anything.
That supporting cast, especially when you look at it versus the Denver Nuggets and their supporting cast, it just really, that's like we've been saying, Denver was just that much better. And
I think it also has to do with the fact that this lineup, this group specifically, all pretty much got thrown together on the run since the trade deadline, where the Nuggets, Jokic and Murray, I feel like have been playing together for a long time.
A couple years now, at least.
Yeah, and then Michael Porter Jr.'s been there for a while.
Right. All this team's been pretty much together.
Yeah, they've had continuity. They've had chances. I mean, heck, they even played the Lakers a couple of years back in the pandemic season in the conference finals and pretty much just got worked. But, yeah, for the Lakers, honestly, considering where they were in the beginning of the year with Russell Westbrook and, God, who was that one guard, the defensive guy that used to be on the Clippers that runs his mouth? He's a big talker. I don't remember his name. They let him go. But anyways, the Lakers...
Oh, Patrick Beverley.
Yeah, Beverley. They got rid of those two, and they made a lot of trades at the deadline. They went from a playing team to making it this far, so, maybe you run it back next year, but in sports, every year, typically teams change, so.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what happens, with Bronny looming in the next year. What does LeBron do? Does that keep him around, or does maybe he choose to sit out a year? And then the Lakers, if you do keep LeBron, you're really kind of hogtied with what you have as a team and what you can really do in terms of upgrading, because LeBron isn't one that usually likes to be too team friendly with his deals. So, interesting spot for the Lakers, and they're really not in a spot, especially with this team, to compete for a championship. So
yeah, there's a lot of options to go here. Nonetheless, this game comes down to the last play. LeBron driving in, and they pretty much kind of fouled him, kind of didn't. I don't know how you call that, but
that was an absolute foul.
It was
100%.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how they ref. I kind of feel like that was, but it's kind of weird how they ref it.
Right.
I don't get it. Sometimes they call every foul, sometimes they let him play. So
yeah. I like that the end of the game didn't come down to like free throws or whatever, but if I'm looking at that, like if I'm a diehard Lakers fan, I'm furious.
It's hard to really say he actually got a good shot off, because he kind of just got wallowed. I don't know. But we'll move on.
Denver gets the sweep 4-0, and they advance.
Yeah, they get a nice little break.
Finals. Yeah, they'll get a real nice break, and they get to watch the remaining of this Eastern Conference Finals and, get to see who they'll end up playing.
Yeah, that'll bring us to yesterday. Game number 4 in Miami. Boston pulls off a big win, 116-99 in a do-or-die situation. The Celtics actually finally shot good from 3. Jason Tatum with 33 points, 11 boards. Devin White had like 16. The Heat honestly just came up small, really, in that second half. I mean, this game went back. Yeah.
He's the only one that played well, but even he shot 9 and 21. But that second half, like you said, a lot of the Heat that played well in the first half came up small.
Yeah, the Heat have been shooting really good from 3, but this game they did not shoot good from 3.
Oh my God.
8 of 32, 25%. And then the Celtics, they make 40%. I mean, that's about it, right? That's all you look at right there, man.
Yeah, that's your tail your tape. And the Boston get a huge 17-point win on the road to kind of try to breathe some life back into the series. And, man, I've been kind of trolling with Boston in 7, just kind of following Portnoy's lead with that and just the trolling. And just the trolling. But I will propose a scenario that I think could be really interesting. Boston wins Game 5 in Boston with the electric crowd, right? Think about a scenario in which they have to go back to Miami, Game 6, all the pressure in the world, first time choking the series lead, yada, yada, yada. That's a really rough thing to go back to. And then the inevitable happens, or the unthinkable, and you wind up Game 7 in Boston.
Home. Yeah, I could see two sides of this. Though Boston hasn't been the best team at home in the playoffs this year. So, I mean, hey.
What kind of Boston are we going to get?
Yeah.
I think that's
I mean, if Miami shoots cold, they got a good chance.
Right.
If Miami doesn't score 100 points, they got a good chance. Honestly, I like this series to go 6. So, I'm kind of rolling with you. I like Boston, honestly, to win tomorrow. But I like Miami at home for Game 6. But we'll see what happens tomorrow night. But nonetheless, Boston with a big win. So that series remains to be seen.
Yep, gotta wait on that. Game 5 will be Thursday night. But that will do it for the NBA playoffs in the short little recap that we needed to do. So let's jump over and hit on the NHL, as Saturday, May 20th, saw Game 2, Florida Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes from Carolina. This game was yet another overtime game, as we've seen so many overtime games. And honestly,
there's been more overtime games than regular games.
Yes. honestly, this has been one of them. Like, I've watched a lot more of this playoffs than I have in recent memory, like in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
And all these games have been really, really good, I think. Just a really exciting playoffs. This game, proved no different. 1-0 Hurricanes after the first period. Florida ties it up with 1 in the second. No goals in the third. And then Florida eventually wins it on the road, which was huge for them to pick up that win. 2-1. Sergei Bobrovsky makes 37 saves in the win. Matthew Tkachuk, their starter that they got from the Calgary Flames, gets the overtime winner once again. He has just been incredible. He has a goal in this game as well, but Tkachuk's been incredible in this playoffs, and Barkov as well puts in the other goal. And it's 2-1 Florida. They get the win. Let's look at Carolina here. Ranta plays. He gets, he makes 24 saves out of 26. That's not a bad game. Looks like Aho got an assist, and their lone goal went to their defenseman Chatfield. That'll get us out of game 2. Florida will pick up the 2-1 win, and the series goes 2-0 Florida. So that's 2 big road wins. Two big road wins for the Florida Panthers to start off this finals. I don't think anybody saw that coming.
Nobody but me.
Right. Right. We move to Sunday, and the weekend cap in hockey was a banger again. This game was a 3-2 finish. It also needed overtime. This game is 1-1 after the first period. Dallas puts in a goal in the second. Heiskanen scored the first, and Mark Stone on the power play for Vegas. Second period, it's Robertson on the power play for Dallas. 2-1. Third period, Marchessault again, his 6th of the playoffs, and it's tied at 2.
Ooh.
In overtime, Chandler Stevenson, his 7th of the playoffs, wins it for Vegas. And it's a big win on home ice.
Home solo.
I mean, it wasn't really much needed, but you definitely want to get those wins. You don't want to. That's big momentum for Dallas if they pick up an OT win and then get to go to home ice. So Vegas, they pick up the win, 3-2. First start of the game was Stevenson with that OT winner. He got a goal and assist in this one. Jonathan Marchessault got a goal and an assist, and Mark Stone a goal and an assist. 3 long-time Vegas Golden Knights coming up really clutch when it matters most. Was finals game number 2 to pick up this 3-2 win. Monday, May 22nd, back to Carolina, Florida. Game 3, and this was just an incredible defensive hockey game. I watched just about all of this. Just wow, what a game. This has been an incredible, really super tight series. And, this game proves no different. A 1-0 score. First star of the game, Bobrovsky makes 32 saves in the win. He gets the shutout. Sam Reinhart, with the only goal, gets the second star. And Sam Bennett with the assist, the 3rd star. But what a game, 1-0. 32 shots for Carolina. 32 shots, Kurt, no goals. Compared to only 17 shots for Florida.
That's hard to believe.
32 shots, Bobrovsky. It's funny, Kurt was walking in at the start of the Florida-Carolina game that's going on right now, and I mentioned that Bobrovsky just has been standing on his head, and this is the game that I was waiting to tell him about because I didn't know his official stat line, but 32 saves, shutout, big win. They get the big win at home. Carolina throws everything but the kitchen sink at him. 32 shots, no goals, and it's still Florida. It's still Bobrovsky. He comes up insane again, and he gets the Game 3 win. 1-0 to make it 3-0 Florida. We'll move to Tuesday. May 23rd.
Tuesday.
We saw the Vegas Golden Knights take on the Dallas Stars, Game 3 from Dallas. this game.
After a close overtime game, wow.
Yeah,
to him.
Close overtime game, and this game was just all Vegas from the start. Jonathan Marchessault opens up the goal scoring a minute and 11 into the game. Ivan Barbashev scores in the power play, and William Carrier scores, and it's 3-0 quickly after one. Pietrangelo adds the fourth in the second, and it's held down by Aiden Hill, who makes 34 saves, doesn't give up any goals, and Vegas takes all the momentum out of the Dallas Stars. And I think this one you can almost.
You're getting the brooms out for this one.
They might get the one in Dallas. That home crowd usually is crazy, but you get 34 shots, you get no goals. Vegas only puts in 16 shots. 16 shots on that, they get 4 goals. That's just got to be so. So deflating as a team.
That's got to be, yeah.
What was crazy in this game, Dallas' captain Jamie Benn took a incredibly stupid game misconduct cross-check penalty. He got mad at a player who was on the ice already and cross-checked him with his stick into the ground. Just a really nasty play involving the player's head.
Yeah.
And Jamie Benn gets a 5-minute and ejected. So
he costed himself and the team.
Yeah. So that was their second goal was off that power play, and that 5-minute major pretty much cost you the game from that point. So they lose their captain, and they lose game 3 because of that pretty much. And now back firmly against the wall.
Now you're really in a pickle.
Down 3-0. I like Vegas in 5 at max, but they might get them out of there in 4, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I would take the brooms of that one. Sweep.
You think so too? Think you can sweep?
Yeah. So what's cracking with this one right now then?
So we are midway through the second period. The game is Florida 3, Carolina Hurricanes 2. And this game has been very competitive. Getting a look at the stats thus far. Carolina 21 shots, Florida 17. Florida with the edge in the goal department though, 3-2. Pretty massive here. This is a massive game. Obviously, Florida looking to get the broomsticks out, and they're just about 35 minutes into this game played.
Yeah.
And they're looking real good. Bobrovsky's made 19 saves out of 21, so not the best. I didn't see his second goal that he gave up, but his first one was a pretty bad point shot that got by him and then off the post and buried home. So that was a pretty bad goal given up by Bobrovsky. Florida's got a good chance to close this one out. What do you think? Do you think they do it?
Yeah. I think they close this one out tonight. I like it. I like 4-3. I like 4-3 Florida.
4-3.
I think they get another goal, and I think Carolina gets another goal as well, and they close it out.
That doesn't help our under 5.5, Kurt. That doesn't help our under 5.5.
No.
That doesn't help it at all.
All right. What about? So you just wanted to say how it is.
That would be fantastic.
You just. Okay. Well.
That'd be fantastic.
All right. 3-2. 3-2. We'll take a 3-2 Florida win.
For sure. I'm with it. There you go, Kurt. Got to be on the daily bet side. But this game's been very competitive. So Duclair opened the scoring for Florida. Then Tkachuk on the power play. 2-0 Florida. Stastny answers end of the first period. Teravainen ties it up 2-2. And then Lomberg buries one for Florida to make it 3-2 with 4 minutes to go in the second period. So we will update that as we finish.
Yeah, could be closed tonight. Could go back to Game 5.
We'll see how that finishes out. But let's end off the podcast discussing the back half of the 2023 NFL Draft Round 1. We never finished up the back half, so we will go ahead and dive into that to finish up this podcast.
Yeah. I'm just going to focus on the first rounders. I don't know the way this is laid out. I don't like the way it's laid out. We'll open it up with New England. I remember they traded with us from 17 down to 14 and picked up a fourth rounder. And still probably got the player they honestly wanted there. With Christian Gonzalez, who I thought was honestly cornerback 1, if not at worst cornerback 2. So for New England, I think this is a pretty good move. You need corners there in that division to guard Stephon Diggs, the Garrett Wilsons, the Tyreeks, the Jalen Waddles, and you give Belichick a pretty good corner to scheme around.
Absolutely.
Trade down from 14, you still get one of the best players there. So I think for New England, that's
good value.
Yeah.
Good pick. You severely screw over your division rival New York Jets, allowing the Pittsburgh Steelers to take the player that the Jets undoubtedly wanted. You good over there?
Yeah, I almost fell out of the chair because it leaned forward.
I saw that. All right, we'll move to pick number 18.
Oh.
And we saw the Detroit Lions take Jack Campbell. Now, my initial reaction is I like the player, but not the spot. I mean, I just think Jack Campbell is a really high-motor inside linebacker. I think he could prove to be pretty valuable for the Detroit Lions. But at 18, looking at this board right now and looking at the Detroit Lions as a whole, I think you can get I think you can get Jack Campbell in the second. I really, really do. Gibbs, you can argue is a first-round talent.
Yeah.
I think everybody will tell you you're probably going to be able to get Jack Campbell in the second. I know if it's your guy, you take him, whatever, but just you got more needs, and there's just flat-out better talent there.
Yeah, I think we pretty much agree on this one. He was probably the best middle linebacker prospect in this kind of weaker class, which was mainly like round 2 kind of talents.
Yep.
So you probably could have got him there in the second. I don't like him here at 18.
Right.
I really don't. This was kind of just one of those Detroit things. Like, I see a lot of other good players they could have went with that made more sense rather than just who I think will be a run-stopping type of linebacker. And
right.
if that's what you want.
Solid tackler.
Yeah.
Solid.
High motor.
But it's like at 18, it's like you said, I saw this pick and I saw it was the Lions. I was like, well, that's definitely a Detroit Lions pick. Head scratching, to say the least. You hope the best. He's probably got a high upside, but I think you're going to look back and be, 18, I don't know if he'll ever be worth 18. Maybe he comes out and he's a stud off the jump, but at 18,
this is one of those
maybe
spots.
A little bit of a reach.
I was thinking, maybe corner, maybe receiver. A corner because you got to deal with Jefferson twice a year, and who's your guy going to be for that?
Right.
Don't know. You traded Jeff Okudah. Who's your cornerback? Don't know. Maybe a receiver to help Amon St. Brown. To give Jared Goff another weapon to improve your offense, but I guess the linebacker here is what they thought, so I don't know. Move on to the next team. Tampa Bay took Elijah Cansey, defensive tackle out of Pittsburgh. I was pretty alright with this move. Made sense. They need another lineman next to Vita Vea. I mean, if you're Tampa, who do you really go with here? You got Baker Mayfield. Brady's retired. You're in the NFC South. A lot of directions you could have went here. I'm not
upset with this.
I'm not going to hit on this pick because the last time there was a defensive lineman out of Pittsburgh that was quote-unquote undersized, well, that was Aaron Donald. I'm not going to say he's going to be that good.
We see how undersized Aaron Donald is.
That's what I'm saying. Like, some guys, undersized really isn't a bad thing, honestly, as a D lineman. I like the move. There's nothing wrong with getting a good player in the trenches, so I'm good with this.
Yeah, I like the move. Like I said, Cansey's a solid. Really, they say he's undersized. I like him a lot. I like this game in Pittsburgh.
Good pass rusher too from the inside.
I like it. That's what I was about to say. I like his pass rush as well as his run stopping ability, and I think he could be a little bit more of a raw prospect. But on that Tampa Bay defense that's improving, I think he could be a really good piece in a couple years. So I like the pick for sure.
Yeah. Pick 20 was the Seattle Seahawks, which was where the first wide receiver went. Jackson Smith, JSN. We'll just go with that. From, Ohio State.
Boo! Boo!
You know, we didn't really get to see a whole lot of him last year because of the injury.
Right.
But, for Seattle's sakes, I think this was honestly a really good move.
Right.
You give Geno another receiver, you pair him up with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Kenneth Walker, and then you drafted Zach Charbonnet. Your line developed pretty decently last year with those two rookies they got. You're talking about a playoff team from last year, and you just add another receiver, try to score more points. So
Seattle's building in the right direction, I'll say that. I think they're headed in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, honestly, I think this was a pretty good move.
Absolutely the pick I would make is the receiver here, and I don't think there's any arguing that Smith and Jigba's the best, if not, I think there could be some comparisons with guys like Addison and Zay Flowers who could have good pro careers, but for right now, I think Smith and Jigba.
I thought he was probably a wide receiver one in this class.
Definitely the safest and probably the highest upside, barring any injury concerns.
Yeah.
But definitely like the pick for Seattle. Like Kurt said, get Geno another weapon and then continue evolving in the always everlasting offensive NFL.
Yeah. Can never have enough weapons.
Right.
So this actually started a wide receiver run.
Yes, it did.
As at 21, we saw the Los Angeles Chargers go with Quentin Johnston, wide receiver from TCU. I like him, but in another sense, I feel like he gives me a boomer bust kind of vibe. If he plays up to a ceiling, playing with Herbert for one is huge. They're going to throw the ball a crap ton. They got weapons with Keenan Allen, obviously, when he can be healthy. Mike Williams, when he can be healthy. Which is kind of why it makes sense as to why they got Quentin Johnston, just because last year the receivers couldn't stay healthy.
Right.
And you need a receiver to compete with the teams in your division. You look at the Chiefs, Raiders, Broncos. The Chiefs are going to score, so you need to score. And as we saw in the playoff game, they couldn't score in the second half. So I like this move, but honestly, Johnson, he's all right. I kind of like Addison more.
Yep, he'll be a really interesting player that I'm honestly really excited to see where his career goes.
Yeah.
Because like Kurt said, and I was gonna say too, I think he really teeters the line for me between being somebody that can be a solid NFL player that's sticks around for a while, or somebody that's kind of in the league for a couple years and out. I think that he's in a good position right now with the aging Chargers receiving corps, and then he's playing with a guy like Herbert, and then they just got Eckler back extended, so he'll be back in that offense. So it's a good situation for him, but only time will tell how good Quentin Johnston will actually be, especially in the NFL.
Definitely.
Playing against these nasty DBs they got these days.
Yeah. That'll bring us to the Ravens at pick 22. They went with the receiver Zay Flowers out of Boston College. Here's my take with this one. The Ravens, for whatever reason, they never take... You look at their draft history, they typically never draft receivers that well, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's just a lack in their scouting department. Zay Flowers gives me big Marquise Brown vibes, as like he's a shorter type of receiver. He's not like a big body guy. He's like 5'9". He's fast. He's real fast, actually. And, I think he'll definitely help Lamar, maybe with some of those down-the-field throws, just somebody with some deep speed. But, again, I guess if that's what you're looking for, I'm good with that. But I like Jordan Addison more as a receiver than him, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, with Jordan Addison still being on the board here, I think it's really hard to pass him up for a guy like Zay Flowers. I think the only thing I would say is like a player or a scheme fit is better for Flowers than that Ravens, up-tempo, fast receiver, faster paced receiver type of offense.
Yeah.
But I'm still, with looking at a guy like Jordan Addison and just what he showed at USC and the consistency he had, I think that's really what a team like Baltimore and a QB like Lamar could have used in that offense is a big body, sure-handed receiver. You know, the athletic, electric, playmaking receiver is always good, but it's like you said, they haven't really been the best at drafting receivers. And Zay Flowers, like Quentin Johnston, is boom or bust 100%.
He gives me big boom or bust vibes. I mean, you added Odell, you drafted Rashad Bateman a couple of years ago. You got Mark Andrews. You're trying to surround him with players, but I'm not gonna lie, man. I don't really think Zay Flowers is gonna translate that well. I could be wrong. Like Marquise Brown was solid, but at the same time, these receivers don't want to come in blocking all the time.
Right.
They don't want to come and block more than they run pass routes.
Especially a guy like Zay Flowers, athletic, probably a smaller type of rack. Not gonna want to block.
So again, like all these picks, times will tell.
Right.
So that'll take us to pick 23, Jordan Addison, receiver out of USC and Pittsburgh. I'm gonna go off what we've been saying. I think this is a big move for the Vikings. You lose Adam Thielen. You bring in Addison. You got Jefferson. Dalvin Cook, I think, is looking to be traded. So you're talking about Kirk Cousins just slinging it. T.J. Hawkinson's there. I think Addison was probably wide receiver 2 in this class. And so for me, this is a solid move. No complaints, really.
Yep. I mean, yeah, I love the move for Minnesota. I think you definitely needed a receiver. Obviously, like Kurt mentioned, losing Thielen and the possibility of losing Dalvin Cook means you're going to probably need to throw the ball a whole lot. And with Flowers and Quentin Johnston off the board, leaving Addison, I think that's a great pick. I think, like Kurt mentioned as well, I would have put him at wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
And with them falling to Minnesota, you really can't mad to say that you have Jordan Addison. I think if Minnesota is in either of those guys' spot, they probably take either Flowers or Johnston, whoever's on the board. But with Addison still being there at 23, it's a really solid pickup for Minnesota. Yeah, I would definitely call that a win of a pick.
Pick 24 was by the New York Giants, selecting Deonte Banks, cornerback from Maryland. This move, you know what? I was a little surprised at the time with this move, but leading into this draft, after around pick 18, 19-ish, I didn't really know who was going to go where, to be honest with you. I kind of had a good feeling about the first half, so I was kind of a bit surprised with some of these moves, but at the same time, just don't really know who's where and who's board. But for me, I think this move makes sense. You need a corner there in New York because, you're talking about going against Philadelphia, Dallas. What do they got? Receivers. You're talking about A.J. Brown, C.D. Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Devontae Smith. Weapons on weapons. The Giants, honestly, in their playoff game just got pretty much wrecked. So I'm good with this. Deonte Banks, I feel like, is a bit of a boomer bust kind of guy, but
right. I like the game of Maryland. I think he's solid.
I think it's a good fit. I like it.
Back into the first round, looking at what was there on the board and what the Giants really truly needed, I like the pick.
Yeah, I can't really hate on it because
right.
you look at the rest of the players here. Who would you really rather take?
Yep. That's where I went with it too. Who else are you really taking in this spot if you're the Giants?
So that'll take us to pick number 25, where the Buffalo Bills, if I recall, traded up to draft Dalton Kincaid right in front of Dallas.
Yep.
Because they knew Dallas was probably going to get him, let's be honest. I thought they were, at least. They talk about, getting the ball out of Josh Allen's hands more and running the ball more. But to me, this kind of screams more like they're actually going to throw the ball even more.
Right.
Because Kincaid is more of a
vertical threat.
He's more of a vertical threat. He's more in the passing game. Not much of a run blocker.
No, right.
He's more of a pass guy.
Yep.
So I guess, in that aspect, you add another weapon next to Von Diggs, Gabe Davis. I guess you just give Josh Allen maybe somebody can check the ball down to here and there and just let him eat with the run after catch. So I think it's a good move. I don't really think they gave up a whole lot to trade up, and he probably wasn't going to be there at their pick, if we're being honest. So I think it was a good move.
Yeah, I definitely think given the build, what they needed, it's a good pick. Good would add a weapon for Allen. He's not really notorious for throwing to his tight end, so hopefully Kincaid's able to kind of help them out in that department. I truly do believe they also wanted to jump Dallas because I think that Kincaid was Dallas's pick, which makes me really angry as a Saints fan because you'll see who we pick in a couple of spots compared to who Dallas ended up going with. Definitely hurt my feelings for sure. But for the Bills and Kincaid, it adds another weapon for Allen, and they're
trying to get that Kelsey clone.
Right. Yep.
Because everyone's sick of having to deal with him.
Right.
So that'll take us to 26, where the Dallas Cowboys took Mozzie Smith, defensive tackle out of Michigan.
Woo!
Now, I had him probably right around this spot, late first round, maybe early second. So I think this was probably a fair spot. You look at needing someone who's more of a run stopper, and I think he does do that. Though I think he definitely needs to develop a pass rushing game, to be honest with you, because he didn't really get any sacks for us, for being honest.
Yep,
he's more of a run stopper.
Yep.
He was good at that. He played his gaps real well. So he played his role well. But he definitely needs to develop a pass rush game if he really wants to take things to the next level. So he's probably more like a B grade. Like him and Michael, that'll be good. DeMarcus Lawrence, that'll be good there as well. I'm fine with this move, but I know that Dallas didn't want. I knew they kind of. This was their plan B. This wasn't who they were going to take.
Pick, yep. And
they wanted to get Dalton Kincaid because they lost Dalton Schultz. Just a solid move. It's not like dynamite. They needed a run stopper, so nothing wrong with it.
Nothing flashy, but it filled a need that they needed, and at that spot, you can't really argue with it. So
no.
They get their player taken out from underneath them. They get their 1A taken, so they go 1B, and I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, they're trying to get a run stopper to stop Philly with that quarterback sneak cheese.
Right.
So you draft who you play in your division because that's who you deal with. So that'll take us to number 27, where the Jacksonville Jaguars took Antoine Harrison, offensive tackle for Oklahoma. You know what? This was a good move because you lost your offensive lineman to the Chiefs earlier this offseason. You always, there's nothing wrong with taking linemen because you gotta protect your quarterback. It was probably a second round kind of talent, so you kind of had to reach a little bit there. But I get it because at this point in the draft, the tackles have all been taken up. So I like this move, and I think it's Jacksonville just with Doug Peterson making solid moves. Yep. Nothing stupid. So I'm good with it.
Another solid fill the team, fill a need type of move. Try to bolster the offensive line a little bit. Like Kurt Renton, I believe it might have been a little bit high, but at this spot, like I've been mentioning, just a solid pick. And where else are you really going? I think this is a good pick in a position of need. So solid for Dougie and Jags.
Yeah. This will take us to number 28 overall pick, Myles Murphy, being drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm not going to lie, this one worked pretty good. Not going to lie. The Bengals already had a pretty solid pass rush led by Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard. Now you bring Myles Murphy in, who I thought fell way down the board. I thought he was more of like a top 15 kind of guy.
Yeah, maybe 15 to 20.
Somewhere in that range, and he fell way down to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And if you're Cincy, I don't really think you hesitate in taking him. I thought he was honestly one of the best edge players in the draft. Explosive, and you need pass rushers to get after the quarterback. Nothing wrong with it. You got to deal with Lamar, Deshaun Watson, pretty good offensive lines there. So yeah, I think for Cincinnati, it's a pretty good move, and just keeps them in the mix with everything.
Right. I can't argue with it. They continue to bolster that defensive line. Try to keep up with that AFC and Patrick Mahomes and all them running quarterbacks. So, not a bad pick to add a rotational guy that might, blossom into something.
This takes us to pick 29, where the New Orleans Saints selected Brian Breesy, defensive tackle out of Clemson. Now, I wasn't here. Unfortunately, I had to go home and go to sleep. But I remember you guys were absolutely displeased with this selection, so I'll just let you talk about this one.
Yeah, Brian Brees played really well his first couple years at Clemson. Has had some really, really bad injury concerns. Saw himself slide way down the first round board. I don't know if he really should have been a first round pick. Saints, I mean, I feel like you have a lot of needs. Definitely D tackles a need, but to kind of reach on a guy like Brees who's got some injury concern with your first round selection, I just couldn't really get behind it, especially with a guy like Nolan Smith getting drafted 1 pick behind him. I think that might be something we may look back on in a couple of years. And I might be like, look, Nolan Smith got drafted. Who got drafted in front of him? Brian Brees. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm not confident in him. I liked him. I liked his game when he first started at Clemson. But those injury concerns.
The torn ACLs.
Yep.
Because I remember, I looked into him a little bit. He was actually, a couple years ago, the #1 prospect in college.
Yes, he was incredible. I love
the talent was there.
The talent was there. That's what I mean. The upside and the potential is there, which is kind of what I believe the Saints are clinging to now.
Yeah.
Is that talent and that potential upside. But I just don't see how you can come back and be a standout after these really, really hard injuries to come back from.
Yeah.
Especially playing such a grueling position like D-tackle.
A position where you're talking 60, 50-plus snaps a play where you're going against another 300-plus pound man, and you're 300-plus pounds, and you're trying to get past him, blow him off the line.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because there's times where, like, players come into the league already with injury concerns, and sometimes they don't ever really make it. Sometimes they do.
Right.
But most times than not, when you're coming in already injured, you're not going to last long. So, I'm kind of with you on this. I think they drafted more or less for potential. And, you pair him up with Cam Jordan and, let's just see what we got here. But I'm kind of with you in the fact that if I'm going on a player, if I'm risking a player here between Nolan Smith and Brian Brees, I would definitely lean towards Nolan Smith. That's really my only gripe with it. At this point, I would take Nolan Smith over Brian Brees.
For most players, I like the spot in which they were at compared to what other players got drafted. In this one in particular, I think looking at Nolan Smith get drafted a pick, but after that, oh man.
Like, when I saw this pick, later that night, I couldn't really sleep that well because I was just like wondering what's going on. I just got meh vibes from this.
Yep.
Like, I got I
was like, meh, I hope, but more likely, nah.
If I'm a Saints fan, I'm just kind of setting the bar low with this one. I'm not gonna lie, but that'll take us to pick number 30. As we just mentioned, the Philadelphia Eagles, who, in my opinion, won the draft.
100%.
Getting Nolan Smith here at 30, very fast edge off the edge player. Unfortunately, suffered a torn pectoral the second half of last season, so we didn't get to see him finish. But for Philly, man, adding him at 30 as a developmental player behind who they got on the edge, already led by Hassan Reddick, Brandon Graham, and those dudes. You just let him come in as a rotational pass rusher, let him just develop. Nope, don't even rush him. Whew, you're cooking.
A-plus pick
You're cooking.
for Philly. A-plus pick for Philly.
If he develops,
yep.
Oh, man. That pass rush is going to be scary.
He's in a perfect position where, like you said, he can learn from guys that are really, really good and playing this league for a long time, as well as getting valuable experience and not having to be rushed in or played a whole bunch of snaps because you're on a sucky team. Mm-hmm. He can be a rotational guy that comes in and learns, and I think it could really, really work out well for Philly.
Yeah.
The way they've been building out their defensive line, and they've kept it oiled up and churned out D lineman after D lineman after D lineman.
That's why they led the league in sacks.
Right.
So, honestly, a real good pick for them. And to close out the first round at pick number 31, because the Miami Dolphins had to forfeit their first rounder when they got in trouble with Brian Flores for tanking. They forfeited that draft pick. So, with pick 31, the Kansas City Chiefs selected Felix and Udai Uzama, edge player from Kansas State. This was a name I actually really never saw in any first round type of any type of first round projections or talents. So I'm not really sure a whole lot about this guy, what kind of player he is, but, you know, there's other ones that add into your D-line. I mean, you're talking about, you got Chris Jones, you drafted George Karlaftis last year, you lost Frank Clark this year, so I guess you're looking for another pass rusher.
Right.
I guess this...
Just as when you got a team as good as the Chiefs, it's kind of just plug and play, and you lose a guy like Frank Clark, so you replace him with a younger Ozama, and I don't, yeah, like Kurt said, I don't really hear too much about this guy. He seems like he's gotten pretty alright, you know, talked about since this draft pick was made, but yeah, I didn't really know much about him.
Yeah, I was honestly, when I looked at this one, I was like, I had never seen anything about this guy leading up to this draft, so no clue. But, you know, the Chiefs, they usually make pretty solid moves, so, you know, if you get like a 6, maybe 7 kind of sack season out of him, probably can't really be mad at that.
If he's like a Karlaftis and he ends up like a rotational guy,
yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're saying. He'll play the opposite side of him.
Right.
You still got Chris Jones in the interior, so you know what? Adding to their defense, can't really hate on it because, you know, you get a good defense. You already got Mahomes. Go win some more Super Bowls. So, and that is the end of the first round.
Yeah, 100%. That'll do it. Got the first round covered, and it was an interesting draft, to say the least. Definitely a fun one, and
I thought it was a great draft.
I'm glad you thought so.
I know some of us had a good time, some of us didn't. I remember now, man, the Saints on day 2, we watched day 2. Oh, dude, the running back in the 3rd round, they took a running back in the 3rd round, and then in the 2nd, man, who do they take in the 2nd round? Oh, shoot, how did we forget? Foskey!
Ha!
They took Foskey in the 2nd. Yeah! Oh, that made up big time for that Breesy move then. That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
I remember that now. We were you guys were hyped.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so they ended up taking Isaiah Foskey from Notre Dame in the 2nd round.
Made up for the
pick
first
9
rounder, for sure.
And then you get the TCU running back Kendre Miller. I guess you're assuming that Alvin Kamara is going to be suspended at some point. Otherwise, I don't really get that. But
right.
And then they traded up for a quarterback from Fresno State.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Carr was from Fresno State. I don't know why I don't know. Guess they're trying to do something there. Yeah, I don't know. The Foskey move's really the only good one.
For sure.
At least out of those first 2-day picks.
Yeah, I agree.
But nonetheless, yeah, the draft was full of good moves, bad moves for now. But time will tell.
Yep.
So I think that'll wrap it up.
Yeah, that'll do it. Episode 77 is in the books. And another week down in covering sports. We'll be back in the next couple of days to wrap up the conference finals as they're both coming to a close, and the Stanley Cup finals as well as the NBA finals are quickly approaching. So we'll have lots of that coverage coming up. The daily bets have been going pretty good for the both of us. Kurt, what do you sit right now? 3-3?
3-3. I lost yesterday, but that's all right.
Not the worst. Kurt's gonna finally have to go away from his Miami Heat selection.
Yeah.
Possibly, maybe if he
Game
5. We'll see where he goes, but
we'll see where the spread is tomorrow.
Right.
I haven't looked at any of that yet.
For sure. But nonetheless, that'll do it. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Like, comment, share. Let us know what you guys want us to talk about. Give us some fun, little different topics to touch on as we get through the off-season months and the summer months in the sports world. So, hope you guys enjoyed On Ridgeway Sports Podcast. We will see you guys next time.
Peace.
Peace.